there, welcome to Elm Colors. I'm Erica. On today's video, we are continuing our How I Color Alphabet series. Today is letter N, and N is for nose. I've got several samples I'm going to show you. We're going to talk about some different kinds of noses. Of course, most of the examples I have are in Henna Carlson books. That's just kind of how it goes. She's got all the portraits. So some of these are completed, some of them are not, but here we go. So here is the first one. I just wanted to point out a couple of things so you can see how I've got the shading on either side of the nose. And then I've got like this round section, and I want you to kind of look for that in all of the following pages. Now I'm going to show you an example of one that I did pretty early on. Now it's a little farther away, but you can kind of see the difference between these two. So this is one of the first portraits I ever did. I was too scared to do skin. I was afraid I was going to screw it up. And when I did it, I was so proud of it. And it's okay. It's not great, but it's not terrible. But her nose is very severe. So you can see how this is very gently shaded, and this one is just like almost a harsh line. Now, depending on what kind of look you're going for, if you want a harsh line, that's great. You go for the harsh line and you make it work, and I'm sure it'll be fine. But when you're wanting to color portraits, now this is by far from a realistic look, but to give it a little bit more realism, you do want to have that nice blend in this curved area around the nose. And that's one of the things that has given me tricks or trouble for quite a long time. So straight on faces I'm pretty good with now. Side profile faces I do have a little bit of trouble with, but I'm working on it. So here's one of the ones that I have done that is a side profile. So you can see the shading is basically just this little bit right around the edge of the nose, and then along where the side of the nose would dip down into the cheek. And that's really it. There's not too much shading in that area. You want to pay attention a little bit to right in front of the eyes, where the nose ends and the eyebrows start. So right in that area is kind of where you want to make it a little darker. So let me grab one more. So this one has a couple different examples. I think both of them are straight on. And this is one where I went through and used a white Posca to get rid of the lines, and I kind of made my own nose. I still kept the basic shape, but I did my own thing. Hopefully that's not too glary for you. I did similar thing on this one. Again, I've got like that circle in the middle, the highlight in the center, darker around the edges. So there's that one. Was there another one in here? And no, there's just one we're going to work on later. And then I've got a couple of examples from books that are not Henna Carlson. So I've got this one, and this is actually a recent PDF purchase. I will put the name of the artist on screen. I showed this in my completed pages and whips video recently, and I did this with Crayola Colors of the World, and you can see it's pretty smooth. I'm going to hold it up so you can kind of see it's pretty smooth, but that's with using like a what's it called, Gamsol, with the Gamsol and a blending stump, and then several layers upon layers of Crayola, and that's just to get that faded. So using something like Polychromos, or I'm sure Luminance, which I don't have enough of to do that, would get you this result much quicker, but I really wanted to try to use my Crayolas for this one. But again, you can see there's like this little circle at the end of the nose, and then the lovely soft shading from the bridge down into underneath the eyes there. Another one I did was this one. This one here. This one is more of a straight nose. I didn't give it as much of a round edge because I felt like that suited her face. I wanted it to kind of be a long face. So I didn't give her that little bubble. It's still highlighted. It's just not like as defined of a circle there. And then another style is this one, and she has a very prominent nose, a very distinct nose. And so at this angle, you just give a little shading in the corners and then leave the highlight at the edge along the top, and you're good to go. So yeah, so there is those. Now, a lot of the times you're not going to have, well, maybe not a lot of the times, but in some illustrations, let me put it that way, some illustrations, you're not going to have a typical nose. So for example, in this Luna page, this is from Fabiana Attanasio, she just had this little black line drawn in, and that was it for the nose. So I kind of had to decide how I wanted to shade it. And basically all I did, I'm going to hold it up a little closer so you can see, all I did was I drew in a slight shadow right along that edge. And I just kind of created the illusion of the bridge of the nose. And then when I did my blush, I did end up going over where the nose would be and then continued the blush from the cheeks all the way across. And then I've got a couple examples in here too. This one is another hard one because Camilla, so this is Camilla de Erico's Pot Manga, and on occasion she has the whole nose drawn in, but a lot of the times it's just, again, a hint of a nose. So this one, I want to say it just had like something similar to this nose. So I kind of had to figure out where I wanted this, you know, how much of the nose I wanted it to focus on, how much I wanted it to actually show through, if I wanted the bridge of the nose to come through. But since it was straight on, I just decided to give a little attention to that, the little highlight on the ball of the nose, and that was about it. And then I shaded around the rest of it. This is another one I've done in this, and you can see I took a completely different approach to this nose. Again, this is one where I've got like the bridge kind of highlighted, and then I did some shading on this side too, so she's got a long, straight, skinny nose in this one. And then I've got in these two, again, so this one over here, long, straight, skinny nose. This one I kind of drew in where I thought that the bridge of the nose would be, and then this one I just did a little bit of shading right around the sides of the nose, and that's about it. But we're going to look at a couple different kinds of noses. I'm going to show you, oh, actually, let me do this really quick. Let me get these out of the way. One of the ways that you can really figure out where your shading is going to be is to look at images that have grayscale already in them. It's very, very helpful. It kind of teaches you where your shading should be. As long as you like the look of the grayscale, then you're good to go. So, oh, the front of that is all, I think, line art. Yeah, but Anastasia Ellie Koldarieva, if you have any of her books and you have the ones that have the grayscale in them, it's wonderful. She's absolutely fantastic. So, for example, you can see here on this nose, you've got this circular shape here that's highlighted on either side. You've got the slight shading into the bridge, and then underneath the nose here too. But yeah, you can flip to any of her grayscaled images and kind of get an idea of where your shading is supposed to be. So on the profile here, she's just got a little bit of shading underneath the nostrils and then a little bit of shading in the corner where it meets the eye. Here's another one. It's just the hint. It's more shadowed along the base of the nose, on the bottom of the nose, and then a little hint of a shape coming up and a little hint of a shape coming down. So you kind of have to fill in the rest on that one. This one's a little more defined. You can kind of see the grayscale images really do kind of show you where the shading should go. So here's one where her nose is a little bit more prominent. So she's got quite a bit of shadow placed on certain areas, and that really shows off that nose. Another artist that you could do that with is Karolina Kubikowska. However, her art style is a little different. She does have a lot of the shading in there for you, but on this one you can see there's just kind of the hint of the bridge. So she shows you where the really dark areas should be, she thinks, and then you kind of fill in the rest. So for this nose here, which I think I'll probably work on this page today, yeah, well, I'll kind of show you how I would approach something like this. And then my other favorite way, of course, is to look at references. So I like to not only look at photo references, but I like to look at drawing references, because a lot of the times they'll include the shading for you. So here's kind of three different views of a nose. So straight on, 3/4 turn, and then profile. So you can kind of see where the shadows should be. Now, depending on the face, you're going to have to change that. It does vary from face to face and depending on the look that you're going for. But this gives you a general idea. And once you have that knowledge, then you can adapt it to whatever paper or whatever picture that you're working on. The other thing I like to do is when I do find reference photos is I like to print them out in black and white, because that really shows you lights and darks versus like light colors and dark colors. So you can really see it. Once it's in black and white, it's very apparent where the shadows and highlights should be. So I'm going to be using these references today as we color, and I am going to get my stuff together and we will get started. Okay, so for our first nose, we're going to color in spirit animals. And this is a page that I have already started with some neo colors on the skin and the background and the hair. Some of this might be a little difficult for me to do only because I'm used to doing the whole face at one time. So trying to just focus on the nose might be iffy. I might do her whole face. We'll see how this goes. And I'm also using a new, of course, on camera, first time using this color combo. So we'll see how this goes. But yeah, so I'm going to use Prismacolors on this, and all of the colors will be listed below. I will try to remember to let you know what colors I'm using as I'm doing it as well. But I'm going to zoom you in so you can see what I'm doing, and then we will get started. Okay, so when I do skin, I typically work from light to dark and then back, even with Prismas. It works the best doing it that way with like oil pencils. But with the Prismas, I do it as well because you just want to try to stay to light layers. So basically, when you have just the idea of a nose, you just kind of have to figure out what kind of nose shape you want. So again, looking at our reference images, we've got, so that one is kind of similar. This one down here is kind of similar as well. So you just kind of figure out what shape you want, and I typically, and you can use this, probably would be a really good reference to keep I'm just going to pop that over here so that I can have that handy, because I'm going to probably use that. But I'm just going to kind of sketch in with my lightest color the shape that I want this to have. And so I usually start at the eyebrows and then do a curved line on either side, and you can see that Henna has put in little lines on either side of where the nose bridge would be, so that kind of gives you a guideline of where your lines should be. So I'm hoping you can see some of that. So I just do a very light layer, like I said, light pressure. And then I'm coloring pretty lightly in the areas that I want it to be that color. Okay. And then so typically when I color noses, I leave a little gap between my color and this black line here. Yeah, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do as far as this time, but we'll see. Okay. Every time I do skin, it's different. It turns out differently, and I don't set out to do it that way. It's just every time I draw noses, every time I color noses, it's different almost every time. So for this one, I'm going to draw just a slight circle shape, and I didn't close the circle, but that just is going to give me the direction for where my shading is going to go. So then there's like a little triangle shape. You kind of continue that shading out into the sides there, and then down this way as well. Okay, so now I kind of know where my darker colors are going to go. And I'm just going to use that as a guideline. Those light colors are going to be a guideline for where I'm going to place my darker colors. I'm going to go underneath the nose here as well, and just right around the nostril there. Okay. So now I'm going to go to my next darkest color. So the first one I used was light peach, and I had based this with my Neo color, I believe just in the peach. Let me double check. Yeah, just in the peach color. So it was a Neo color. Oh, salmon. It's called salmon. So just a light layer of that is what went down on this page beforehand. Okay, so now I'm going to use my peach, and I'm basically just following the lines that I've already put down. And you can kind of see it taking a little bit of shape here. You're going to go underneath. And then again in this little, around this little nose area part here, and then underneath. Okay. Next I'm going to use this henna color. And this one, when you get to your darker colors, you really want to use them sparingly. Like super, super light as you possibly can. And I am barely touching my page, and you can see how much pigment is going down. And this dark color is just going to go in my darkest areas. So where I know that my color, my shadows are going to be darkest. So typically right in this area on either side of the nose is darkest. And then underneath, like right almost all the way down to the line of the nose here. And then I usually kind of come up that way a little bit. And then underneath the nose. Okay, so I'm going to go backwards now. I'm going to go back to my peach, and I'm going to color over top of what I just colored. And as I do that, I'm blending outwards. So I start over where the color was, and I lightly fade out from that line. And I'm going to do the same coming into the nose. She's going to have a very pinky, peachy skin tone. I thought it would be appropriate since she's a redhead, and they, you know, are known for their peaches and cream skin tones a lot of the times. The other really awesome tool that you can use when you are working with skin is a blending pencil or blending solution of some sort. It's always, always a good idea to try to blend out. You can either use a lighter color of the pencils that you're using. So like right now I'm using this peach to blend this out even further. And I'm coming in pretty far right over the bridge of the nose, almost touching. Okay. I think I am going to have to bring in a little bit darker color. So I do have this black cherry. Now this one is going to make me really nervous to use, but I'm going to try it. So I'm going to start underneath the nose first to see how dark that's going to be. Yeah, that's pretty dark. I don't love that one, so I'm tempted to go with a brown. But purples are always good too. But I don't want this to be quite so pink. So I'm thinking maybe a brown. So I'm going to try this light umber first and see what that does for me. Let's just go right in here. Whatever you do to one side, you definitely want to do it to the other side, even if you don't continue with that color. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to use that one either. It's not terrible, but it's not my favorite. So what's the plan here? Okay, I got to keep... I don't really have a go-to skin tone, unfortunately. Oh, that layered over the black cherry is not bad. So maybe if I do the black cherry in here. Okay, that doesn't look terrible. Okay, so I'm going to refer to kind of this, these two, oh, you can't see the other one. So that first nose that I was looking at, so this guy, I'm going to be referring to that quite a bit to do the bottom part, but up around the eyes, I want to make sure that I have it, the shading in the right areas. So I really want to focus the shading right in here. And then it kind of fans out gently. And you don't want to have a harsh line, so you have to kind of fan it out both ways. And basically what I mean by fanning out is you start where the color is darkest, but you don't push hard, and then as you move away, you lighten your pressure even more. Okay, and then I'm using this black cherry to just kind of go around the outside of the nose again. Okay, and then I'm going to go around the bottom. Okay, so now we're going to go backwards again. We're going to go back to our peach and see how that does. The nice thing about the Prismacolors is they kind of blend each other, you know? Like you don't have to overly worry about blending because they just kind of do the job for you, which is really handy. Okay. All right, and then we're going to try this guy again. So this is the light peach. And this one I'm just really trying to blend all of that out. This is so opposite to how I normally work because I'll typically do the outside of the face and then the nose is always the last for me because it's one of my areas that I struggle with probably the most. You want to try to leave a nice white area around the eyes too, if you can. Okay. Okay, so that doesn't look terrible. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a little bit of cream and I'm going to add that to where the highlight is on the nose. So right around this circle here and then up through the center. And that gives it just a little bit of a different tone. And then I'm going to use my white to kind of blend that stuff together if I can. Skin typically takes quite a few layers, so it is not something that happens just like in an instant. All right, so she looks like she has a little bit of a sunburn. So how do we get rid of the redness? So sometimes, like with makeup, I know you can add green, which I might try, actually. Probably not the best idea to do this on camera for the first time, but we're gonna try. We're gonna see what happens. So I'm gonna use this sap green light and just go right over top of where it's really red. And just, it brings that redness down just a tad. I'm gonna do this on the bottom of her nose. Try not to go anywhere where there's not red because then it turns more green, but definitely everywhere where there is, it's a little too red for your tastes. Okay. All right, so next thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna add this black cherry to the nostrils just so it's nice and dark. And then I might add some, I'm gonna do some 90% warm gray right over top of that. So it's nice, dark inside there. That always helps. I feel like I need to do the whole face just so I can see if this is looking right. I'm going to go back in again with my peach because there are some areas that I see right away that just look off to me. Most of it's right in here. Okay. So I have plans to do lots of noses today, but I don't know if that's going to happen because it usually takes me so long to do skin. That's one of the reasons I don't do portraits very often. I've been doing a lot lately and I've not gotten as many other pages done as I would have liked, but okay, so I'm going to go through and add in some of these darker colors under here where the shadows would be created. I'm starting with the dark first on this one. I'm going to go in with the peach. And then my light peach. So you guys can see kind of what that part would look like. Let me get this black cherry in here so it's a nice dark. And then I need this cream color kind of up in here so that it doesn't, here we go. All right, I'm gonna try again with the brown. This is light umber. Like I said, all of the colors will be underneath in the description box too, just so you guys can have all those colors. Hopefully I've been doing a decent job of letting you know what colors are what. All right, and then back with the light peach. And really skin is just about playing with it until it feels like it looks right to you. And it'll go through this stage where it's just like you're freaking out because you've ruined your page, but you just keep messing with it and it ends up doing what it was supposed to do in the whole time. It ends up doing its job. All right. Okay, so I'm going to speed color the rest of her face just so you guys can see what the whole thing will look like without just the nose being done. And yeah, I will talk to you guys again in a second. Okay, so here is the face done. I did use a few different browns to add in the freckles. I might go in and add like a few more little dots too, just like random to make it look more like freckles. But yeah, I just wanted you to see the face done so that the nose didn't look so crazy. And then I did a little bit of the hair and the eyebrows and the lips and the eyes so that you could kind of see the finished thing without the nose looking crazy. So that's basically how I do every single nose. Again, each one is shaped a little bit differently, but it's the same premise. So I'm going to do a couple other little speed colors, I think, and share with you some of the skin tone combos that I'll be using. I'm going to use a couple different brands of pencil and yeah, and just a couple speed colors coming up on that. And if I feel the need to interject, then I will do that. But so there is our, she looks weird without her neck or anything below done, but at least you can see the face. The face is done, and it makes sense now that you see the whole thing finished. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my next project, and I will be back with you in a second. Okay, the next one is in Witch Season, and this is by Yana Prosperina, and I picked this one here. This one is kind of like a 3/4-ish. So it's not quite all the way profile, but it's a little farther than this. So we kind of have to use the knowledge that we have for where the shadows would go and kind of apply it on our own. So real quick, I'm going to speed color a little bit of the face, and then I'll stop it and start on the nose and kind of talk to you guys just a little bit about that. I'm going to be using Polychromos on this page. Okay, it looks a little wonky because I don't have any color on the nose. But I left this area here open so that we could blend into that, and you can kind of see how I do it. So I'm, again, starting with my lightest color, and we're going to outline the area right around the edge of the nostril, and then basically straight up into that corner where this line is already. And we're just going to make that area just a little bit darker. And that's it. And then I think on the bottom of the nose, I'll just add a little bit of a shadow right there. So I'm going to do that again with all of the colors. Maybe not all of them. I might not use the darkest color. We'll see. But I'm going to go in order from darkest to lightest again. Or lightest to darkest, and then darkest to lightest. And then, yeah, I'm going to blend that out with that mid color. lightest color then to come in and blend things out a little bit. Okay. I am going to add in the dark color right around the edge of the nostril. I'm going to do it underneath the nose here a little bit. And then this is so tricky to get the mouth part right. Okay, let me see if I can blend that out a little bit better. I'm gonna have to use that mid-tone, I think. Okay, all right, and then I am going to come in with this dark color again in here. I want to darken that up in the corner of the eye there. Not a ton, because there's going to be a little bit of light kind of shining in that area. Okay. I really like Polychromos for skin. I can do Prismas, and I have done Prismas, but Polychromos are really, they just look so much smoother to me. And you can do it in light enough layers that things kind of blend and just fix themselves, basically. Oop, that was the darkest one. That's not what I wanted. I just want a little bit of a shadow right in here, just a tiny bit. And cycling between the colors really helps you get that nice blend too. Okay, then I'm going to come in and use my lightest color to blend that all out a little bit more. Okay, I did have some cream. I'm going to add some cream to the chin, to the bridge of the nose, to the center of the forehead, and just under the eye there. And I'm also going to grab some pink. This is Salmon, and just add some color to the cheeks. So I'm going to start it right at the edge of the eye and kind of go about right to the middle of the pupil or so. Add a little bit over there, but it's kind of, I think I made that too dark. Always go back in and erase if you don't like something. It's okay to erase. And thankfully, with the way this works, these pencils work, they erase fairly well. All right, go back over that with my light skin tone color again. See if I can blend that out just a little bit. Might add a little bit more cream. And a little bit more of this shade up here. Okay, and then I'm going to use my Ivory, and that's going to be my blender. You can use like a colorless blender, but a lot of the times with pencils, I usually just use a lighter color to blend everything together. And got to remember, this paper is Amazon printed paper, so it's not going to blend perfectly or look wonderful, but it's going to get the job done. Again, my colors will be listed in the description below for each page that I do. let's see, I think I want to blend this out a little bit, make her a little bit more tan. What do we think? Okay. I like this color combo for a nice tan skin. I don't like whatever's happening there, but it's kind of there now, right? All right, I need to just add in some lips. Let me grab a color for the lips really quick. That already helps. Okay, and then add this. Nope, I need to add this. Maybe a little bit of this burnt carmine to her cheeks too. Just very lightly. Okay. Yeah, so there you go. So there would be a little bit of a 3/4 profile nose. So basically all we did is we added the shadow around the nostril on the outside, and you want to continue it almost to a point and then go straight up into that corner of the eye. And then you add a little bit of shadow along the base of the nose and you're good to go. Okay, so that is our nose number 2. And I think I have one more that I'm going to show you. Maybe 2. But hopefully those will go much quicker. Talk to you again in a sec. Okay, I am going to do a little bit in this one. This is from Carolina Kubikowska's Ticket to Dreams. And this is one that is very stylized. So you can kind of play with it a little bit. I'm going to use a very pale skin tone. And I'm going to use my Derwent Coloursofts. So I'm going to start with this soft pink. I might need to get, well, I'll get that in a second. I'm just going to go ahead and do this soft pink over the whole face. But this is one where it's kind of like a fantastical kind of thing, so you can really play with this one. I am going to use a peach and an ochre, but I've also got some purples, and I'm going to go ahead and start with my purples. So I have blackberry and pale lavender, and I'm going to go ahead and add the blackberry into these areas where she's got these really dark hatch lines. And this is really, it really frames the nose out for you. And then I'm also going to add a little bit just under the nose here, center of the mouth, and then, okay. And then I'm gonna use my pale lavender to kind of blend that out a little bit into that pink. Okay, and then I'm going to use this peach color and blend that out a little bit from the, I'm going to go over where I put that purple. Okay. And then really the last thing that I will do for this part is for the nose, I'm just going to actually just add a little bit of, let me try this ochre. I'm going to see what this ochre does. Does that make it too yellow? No, that looks all right. And that's just going over top of those other colors that I've already used. I kind of like that. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and finish this as a speed color, just her face and skin, well, probably just her face, so you guys can see kind of how that'll work. And I will talk to you again in a second. Okay, so there's her little face. I really like the Derwent, especially on this paper. It like is just glides over top of this paper, and you can just have fun. And I mean, you saw that I used like purples and pinks and all kinds of different things on this, and it's gonna be really cute, I think. So I've got one more that I want to show you, and it is another one that is kind of a different style of nose. So I will get that together. I'll be right back with you. Okay, the last style I'm going to talk about is Henna Lynn. And these are basically no-nos. So you can kind of see. Oh, no, that's not the right one. There's one in here that I did. So I just completely ignored the nose on that one. And then on another one that I started, I do have some lines kind of hinting at the edges of the nose. So for this one, I'm just going to show you really quick kind of how I would do it with alcohol markers. I'm going to use E11 and E13. And I'm going to just really quickly go ahead and color this in. Typically, I wouldn't use my Copic markers on this paper, but for you guys, I'm willing to sacrifice. And you want to work pretty quickly when you're working with alcohol markers. So now I'm going to come in with this E13, and anywhere where there's going to be shadow, I'm going to add that color in. So along the eyes, and then for the nose, all I'm going to do is just a little line under the nose, and that's it. That is it. And then you can kind of see how that's going to blend out. So yeah, and I can probably come in and add maybe just a tiny bit more, because you can always come back in and add more shadow. I feel like I should have made her scarier, but she drew her so pretty, so I just decided that I was gonna keep her in the more like an owl, like she's an owl lady more than a scary mean monster. Okay, and then I'm gonna add in the shading there. Hopefully I didn't just mess up my face. A little bit here, a little bit along the bust of the top, along the bottom of her arms. Yeah, I did mess it up a little bit, but the nice thing is when you If you want to, you can always come back in with colored pencil and fix some of these mistakes. That's what I love the most about using alcohol markers, is it gives you a fast base coat, but then you can always come back over top of it and fix it. So it does take a little bit of work, but it is worth it. Okay, and we're gonna go like that. And that is done. She's done. That was quick and easy. So you can tell that I really didn't do anything at all with the nose. I'm gonna add just a little bit more right underneath. Hopefully that'll stay. When you do go back over with the markers, you can build up the color, but I kind of like that color palette right there. So yeah, so that is that skin tone. And like I said, Henna Lens, it's all about, I've seen it both ways. I've seen it where you can totally, you know, add in the nose, or you can just completely ignore it. So it's all up to you. In Henna Lens' actual artwork, I believe she just ignores the noses. But I like to give a little bit of shading, and that's a lot of the times what I'll do when I have any kind of cartoony kind of nose. So all right, so that is it. So we did this lovely lady. We did this cute little face and nose, and I'm going to find the other two. Hang on just a sec. Okay, so we've got this one, which is another, just the face, and then here we go. That was our last one, our first one, actually. I'm excited to color her in. I think she's gonna be really cool looking once I get it all done. So yeah, that is it for noses. I hope that you guys enjoyed that. I hope that it helped. And yeah, next letter is O, is for owls, which will probably have a little bit of this page on it, or a little bit of this guy on that video. So then you guys will see how I get to finish off this page too. All right, that is it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. All of the colors that I used today will be listed in the description box below, as well as links to the books if it's available. So yeah, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later. Bye!